Hello there and welcome to my first video ever. Today I'm building a Jedi hideout on Koboh, and what you can see here is my very first sketch. After that I started with these small pools of water that you can see scattered around the whole planet and also in the pictures here. And the technique for that is actually quite simple. You just take snot bricks and put cheese slopes on the side. And when you have a tile and a plate next to each other, it creates these little gaps in between the cheese slopes so that it seems like the water is a bit lower than the rest of the rock formation. And that's how I achieved this look. I also used this exact technique for the terrain because I want to make a kind of smoother transition from the rock to the grass and the rest of the landscape. And after that I kind of became tired with all these organic forms, so I tried something different and something a bit more technical. I built this small water evaporator that you can find all around in Star Wars. And it's built pretty simplistic. You just have these rods and these candle pieces, and then you use a wheel piece with this, I don't know what it's called, but it's some kind of egg piece, and just stick them together. Put the gear on top, put the rest on top, and then you have the evaporator. After that, I've tried to figure out where to put it, maybe next to the house or maybe onto the rock, but I wasn't sure yet, so I had to finish the rock formation first. So what you can see here are some of LEGO's cabinet doors, and with that I tried to emulate some of the ground details you see on Koboh. Then I wanted to try something different again and went for a Neko, which are the animals that you find on Koboh and that Cal can ride on in the game. It's also not the most complicated build, but it used some interesting techniques with the head, for example, with these roller skate pieces. And also for the legs I used these clip connections and bar connections, but it's overall pretty simple. Now it was finally time to start with the building itself. I added some small crates and details, and for the main door it just slides into place and is held in via friction. It uses the headlight bricks, and also these side panels are kind of interesting because they use these slopes but turned around, and they're just held in place by the brick that comes on top. So that was kind of an interesting technique. But now let's finish the rock work and go into another time lapse. And we are back. What you can see here is the mountain that's finished. It uses all kinds of slopes, curved slopes, and different wedge plates to give it some kind of more natural look. I also had this little power box with a cable running into the front of the building. And this is the side. I also finished the side of the mountain, which kind of was inspired by this picture. And yeah, then I also built this little staircase, which leads up to the upper level, and also added these little boxes here. As you can see in the time lapse, I finished the entire back section of the MOC, including the left side of the mountain with these little leaf pieces. And the only thing that was left to do now was to add the rooftop for the building, of course, and this top pathway, which I also used dark tan for, just like the bottom floor. And it connects the staircase to the water evaporator and is only missing this little tree. For the tree, I went back into the game, took some screenshots where you can also see the water evaporator, and then I used these brown tree pieces with all these clips and the small horn pieces for branches, and on top of that I just put an olive green tree crown with these newer kind of leaf pieces, but also added these other leaf pieces as well to give it a more natural look. And the tree crown is pretty sturdy, but I had to bend it a bit, so that's kind of an illegal technique, I think. But if it's bent, it just looks a little bit nicer. And then I added it on top of the tree. And after that, I also added a little smaller branch that just fits into this horn piece pretty good. But since most of the tree was olive green, I had to use a different color for the roof of the building. And I went for dark red because it gives a nice contrast. And it uses these little pieces paired with some curved slopes and some bigger curved slopes. But I'm still not quite happy with the roof design because there's some pretty big gaps when you look at it, but I guess that's just what happens when you build at an angle. And it has these big dish pieces on top. And this is the back side where I used these little power boxes and added some of these vents. Looks kind of cool in my opinion, and it's also pretty accurate to the game because these little pieces are on almost every roof there. After that, the only thing left to do was to add all the little details that complete the build. I added this little barrel, all these little plant pots in front of the build, because they also give it a little bit of splash of color because they're in a brighter green. On top of the build, I added these crates with some kind of control station and of course plants, because plants are what make the build stand out even more. Before we take a look at the final pictures, let's have a look at the minifigures. And for the Jedi, I used the head of Cobb Vanth with the legs of Cad Bane. And I think it gives kind of the look of an Order 66 survivor that hides in exile on Koboh. And for the bad guys, I just used a normal plain white stormtrooper. But this one I modified so it has the legs of the jetpack Mandalorian stormtroopers. and then I placed them into the build, took some pictures and edited them in Photoshop.